Hi everyone, welcome back to Talking Insights. I'm your host Antonio, and today we've got another episode recorded live at the Esomar Congress in Athens. All thanks to our awesome sponsor Question Pro. With me today it's Jonas from GetWhy, and trust me, you're in for a treat. We dive into how AI is shaping up the world of market research. Think faster insights, smarter decisions, and way less time stuck in boring data records. Jonas shares how GetWhy is helping brands really get their consumers by using AI to bring back the human touch. If you're curious about the future of research and how to connect with real people on a whole new level, stick around. It's going to be a fun ride. I'm your host, Antonio. Today we're here with Jonas, and we're trying to learn a bit about his history and how we can do market research and learn from your history and how we can connect it to market research. So thank you very much for being here, Jonas. It's a really pleasure to meet people, especially in these conferences that Esomar kind of connects, and we kind of have the space and the time to get together and learn so much. So I would start by asking you, introduce yourself. What do you do? What's GetWhy? What do you do?
Yeah. So without making it too long-winded, I'm not far away from. You just told me that you are kind of new to the industry. My background is actually consumer marketing. So I've been working on creative side for about 20 years. Mm-hmm. I've been doing creative development within marketing for some of the most global brands around the world, and I've always looked at consumers as they are a core part of the truth, finding out what works and what doesn't work. Now, do I have a research background? Absolutely not. I've been sitting in TV commercial development meetings, and I get this big quantitative report in the beginning about the category of milk drinkers and trying to sort out what direction should we then take the creative concept. Ton of data. And then from that point on, not really talking to consumers ever again before we air a commercial or we do another quantitative study right before we air the commercial, which would be a link test or something like that. There's so many things as a consumer marketer where I thought, why don't we ever ask the consumer to understand why this is working, why this is not working, instead of just trying to, I have a creative idea, I think this is right, let's just go with it. So that brought me suddenly on the track to GetWhy, because the sole mission for GetWhy is that to find out how we solve this disconnect that are between brands and consumers, and we can see that the disconnect has a lot to do with the digital transformation that have happened in the world. Digital brands hardly ever see or talk to the consumers. They buy it online. They're never in touch. Once upon a time, you went into the store and you saw your consumer and you started thinking about how can I do better for that consumer. Today, we hardly ever talk to them. And at the same point, we also, and that's my own kind of thing, because I've been working with social media for a lot of years, and I experienced how I always said the world have never been more connected than it is today. And that is the truth. We're more connected than ever, but we're also more disconnected from each other than ever. Right. We live in small pockets. Why is fake media? Well, one thing is the truth, and another thing is another person's truth. So there are people that live on Facebook, and I have friends that are just in their own world. They are big fan of something, and I think he is off, but he's only off in my network. In his own network, he's just a mirror of everything else. So I think the world really needs empathy. And the consumer world really needs empathy. Mm-hmm. We need to see and feel, to walk in the shoes of the consumer, to really understand and make changes. And that's why GetWhy in 2018 started investing in creating a proprietary AI that could, one thing, democratize the access to qual insights, being able to have high quality and depth in qual insight, but also be able to deliver it at a different cost point, mm-hmm. and especially at a different speed. Because one of the things that I've always been challenged with is if you tell a creative in a process, or if you want to understand consumer behavior before you go into an innovation project, time is everything. We don't have 3 weeks to wait for focus group results to come back. We'll do some IDIs, we'll go to the street, or we don't have those 10 days. No, we need something yesterday, bringing down the time to suddenly saying, well, if you can get a result and you can understand the why within 24 hours or 36 hours, that is a paradigm shift. That enables us to do something completely different. And I think what we discovered in 2018 and what we tried to solve for ourselves to begin with was, how can we take out that manual work as a researcher that we're sitting and doing when it comes to core research? So basically what we trained our machine to, we had 250,000 video interviews at that point we had existed since 2010, and we'd done a lot of qualitative interviews, mostly online. So we had them online, and we could use them as a training set for training our machine to just do what the researcher would do. Go through the video, transcribe it into text, then take the business question that you want answers and find the relevant consumer quotes for those business questions. Now that you have, let's say that you have 5 hours of, if you have 10 consumers, a half an hour with each consumer, 5 hours of consumer interviews. Like if a person would have to go through that and turn that into insight, that might be 20, 40 hours of work. Now, we found that just doing it to turning it into quotes was just half the job. What we needed to do afterwards was train the machine to take those quotes and turn them into insights. Not just insights, but also writing key takeaways. Because what our clients wanted was insights so they could focus on making a change, not having to do the manual research work. If it takes a human 20 to 40 hours to do that piece of research work, today the machine will do it in 25 minutes. Now, fundamentally, that changed the shift of time, and it also changed the shift of human labor, so it changed the cost. But more importantly, it changes part of the role, and I think that's one of the themes that I've also heard here at Esomar. And it's been, like when we first started out last year, and I was at some of the conference, the theme was, oh no, AI is taking away our jobs. Now it's much more proactive and saying, no, actually, AI is supercharging our jobs. Mm-hmm. We don't have to be research. We don't have to do the manual works of research. We need to become strategic partners to the organization. We need to go in and actually think value, business value, understand the business like a CFO, and then become storytellers. Find the right things and tell it to the organization so they understand. So understand the business like a CFO and maybe present it to the business like a CMO. Like that's suddenly our role as an insight leader. And that's super exciting. I've heard quite a few insight leaders now talk about the shift from doing 30% on this strategic work and 70% of research to flipping that around as a minimum of 70% done as a strategic business partner and storyteller more than doing the research. I think I've seen an even bigger shift now. I like most of them almost just focus on that thing of understanding the organization, how they best can contribute value So that's how that's a short story about not a short story but long-winded, but the story about GetWhy. So we've been around since 2010. We started building our proprietary AI in 2018. Whenever people say AI, people think it's an overnight sensation and nothing could be further from the truth for us. We invested more than $30 million into building this AI. It's a proprietary, it's a closed system, it's secure in every way. But I would say that the permission to play, the first thing we really focused on getting right is the quality. Like one thing, without being a researcher, one thing I learned from all the conversations I had with both great insight leaders and analysts is that no one can use a bad insight. Like if the quality is not, if you start thinking about hallucination or anything, like people get scared. Bad quality is bad business. Mm-hmm. So that thing you needed to get right first, make sure that you have a high quality in the output, then cost and speed starts to matter. But without the quality, the speed and cost doesn't matter.
That's really interesting. Like one of the key takeaways that I take, like every time that I go to the Esomar, an event or like an industry event in general, but like especially like the events that I've been lately, one of the key takeaways is how to get specific information and specific quality information about the insights that you want to get. And right now we see some countries and some areas of the world as one. South America, Latin America, Africa, you have like these big words, but then you have to remember yourself like East Africa and West Africa and specific cities and specific areas, they're completely different. Like the way that you market something in one area, it's completely different than the other. So my question is, how can technology and AI in general, like help you get to those persons in specific? Because some of them are not even like technology based, or they don't even like have internet access, and that's like an interesting point. How do you get that?
I think that there's two things to that to this, and it's super interesting. It's actually, let me tackle so of course technology needs to be enabled in those markets for any of us to be able to work with it. We're not there is none of us that can solve like traveling in and be filming with a old school camera or anything. So we need technology to be available in those markets. But it's exactly like you say, when it comes to what we are solving, the problem we're solving for some of the clients that we're working with. I was sharing the stage with Adam from the Coca-Cola company, and he said this exactly, call at scale. Like, I can also say, you're from Portugal. Well, you must be like people from Spain, right? You're next to it. Or France. You're like a French person. If people tell me, I'm from Denmark, and if people tell me, you're like a Swedish person, I'm like, no. Swedish person is completely Norwegian, not at all. Don't go there. And I think the world is so, or even if I'm a runner, so I run a lot, but you cannot categorize me as I won't just be a runner. I'm a specific runner. I do ultra runs and I do trail runs. I don't compare me to someone that just runs 3 times a week. So me as a consumer, I'm super segmented, either on a market or on a demographic or even on a perception. And I think what Coca-Cola is doing and what we are allowing when you're suddenly able to do this at scale is that you can do it across much more markets. So what Adam was doing, and he was sharing about a tea evaluation project that we've done together. It was key for him to have 2 demographics in 7 countries. So that's 140 consumers on a qual study. It doesn't sound like much when you say quant, but this is qualitative study. This is in-depth video-based interviews that needs to be analyzed. And the turnaround time, again, needs to be 5, 7, 8 days. It's not like we can use the next 2 months on it. And for him, that's suddenly, okay, I start understanding the commonalities across all these 7 markets that are very different. And I'm able to go down and find the differences in the different markets. And this has become a huge unlock that we see for one of the first motions that the larger brands that we're working with are suddenly saying, well, whether it's in one country that I want to take my consumer and divide it into 3 segments. I'll give you an example. I was at Quirks in New York, and I was sharing the stage with Alexia from Petit, and she was we were fortunate for her to share one of the pieces of work that she's done with us, and that was she wanted to understand core needs of makeup, but across American women in the age of 18 to 34, but African American, Hispanic, and Caucasian. And she wanted to understand, yes, there's some commonalities of how you do makeup and your core needs for makeup, but there's also some differences. And she could get that in less than 3 days. So that was just in one market. And then we have a ton of other brands that are doing it across several markets, 7, 10, 14 markets to understand and make sure that what we develop globally actually represents Africa or Asia, wherever it's important that you're doing it.
That's really interesting. This conversation is really interesting. It's really like, as I said, like it's really on point with all the episodes that we've been doing so far. It really touches on that. Like, we need to get specific. We need to get like the real information from the real people. Like, get specific. Do your homework. That's
yes.
Basically what we like to tell.
And we need to see, so my biggest fear whenever someone talks AI is like, let's go into understand AI as a moderator, or AI as a synthetic data. No, let's not go there yet. That, like, hey, if we're able to see the real consumer, like if we can scale actual consumer insights, face-to-face empathy, understanding of consumers. I did a demo with an insight VP of Insights in Estee Lauder, and I got halfway through the demo, and when I came to show her the show reel, she's like, "This is brilliant. You don't have to show me anything more. I need this because I need to send to my team and my exec team and everything, and they need to see the consumer. They really want to see the consumer. It's not just enough for me to send a quote in a text or something. Like, if they can see them and feel them, they get it. So I think like being able to scale that, connecting, and that's coming back to connecting with the consumer for the brands, is actually seeing them, feeling them, walking in the shoes, really trying to understand them. I think that's where AI is actually supercharging humans more than taking it away from humans, which is super interesting in my world.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for this conversation. I think it's really like each episode kind of gives you a little bit more about what we want to do and like how we will evolve as an industry. But yours in specific, like we can, that's the way the things will evolve. Like, we need to get specific. We need to get the real information and get the real people behind it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
this. Thank you for coming to the conversation.
Thank you.
And for you listening, like and subscribe, and keep an eye and ear for all the future episodes. We've been doing a bunch of these, and they're all really interesting. So stay tuned. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
You can't know the answer to a question without first asking it. But how do you ask the questions? More importantly, how will people answer them? That is where Question Pro comes in to support you, empowering you to build and deploy amazing experiences that collect clean and useful data. With our powerful online-based, built-for-enterprise survey platform, it is easy to create, collect, and act on your data. Create an impactful survey in minutes from scratch by importing an existing survey, or choose from over 350 ready-made templates that have been vetted by our expert market research professionals. Add as many respondent contacts as you want and share them through multiple distribution methods. Collect offline data and use white-labeled mobile apps to ensure data collection is extensive and up-to-date. Take advantage of our specialized services to manage enterprise projects, as well as the instances where the insights collection is complicated but imperative. Then, leave the rest to Question Pro. Sit back and watch us work magic as the data is analyzed and compartmentalized into functional insights automatically. Create role-based access reports in addition to exporting the data and insights into your proprietary toolset, allowing you to focus on what's most important, making smart decisions. Question Pro, survey software that gets the job done.